Hey guys, welcome back to Keeping Up with Brits. The Good Doctor Season 3 episode 17 is out, and it was kind of a meh episode. Not much happening, but what did happen I broke down into four categories, kinda. So the first one is Dr. Park and his son, or I would say addresses his son, slash Claire's dating. Huh? The next would be the two cases, which would be the 5-year battle to be the best mom. And then we will have a heart of gold needs a kidney. And the last one will be Shaun tries to win Leah's hat. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share amongst your friends. Also comment down below and tell me what you think about the episode. And I will also timestamp every breakdown so that you could skip the parts you want to listen to. So let's get into the episode. So Dr. Parker and his son slash Claire's dating. Right. So they have in the hospital right about now some troubled teens, and apparently Dr. son decided that he was going to be part of the clique, so he decided to go and vape some marijuana with one of them, and they were caught by security. Now Dr. Lim was pulled out of a surgery that he was actually do. Oh God, why I keep messing up? Park, Jesus. He was pulled out by Dr. Lim from a surgery he was doing to address the matter of his son. So obviously he wasn't fascinated by the idea because first of all his son has asthma. If you know, can remember what happened in previous episodes, he has severe asthma, so like you vaping marijuana is not a really good idea. When he addresses his son in the vehicle before they go home about the issue, he actually has a panic attack. At first he thought it was an asthma attack he was having, and asked him what his inhaler was, and he was like he doesn't have it on him, which is very irresponsible for somebody with asthma. Please bring your inhalers, guys. And then realizes that it's not an asthma attack, it's a panic attack, and he talks him through it, and he actually gets through it. Later on, he supposedly called his mother to discuss what is going on, and he also realized, and he let her know that, well, let's just say he said that his son said that he was using marijuana to help him since the panic attacks was happening very often these days. So he spoke to his wife, not too sure, his mother, which I'm not too sure he told her about the marijuana part. And they decided that they were going to give him therapy. So they was going to place him in with a therapist to help him with the panic attacks. And he got all pissed at his father for, doing that, saying you're offloading me on somebody else and everything like that. So the father was like, what are you talking about? And he let him know that, he hasn't been there for him and all he cares about his work, and that's why he hasn't been very completely honest with him about his life. So there's that. Then we have Claire's dating. Well, Claire and Dr. Melendez was walking through the halls, and a patient apparently came to give Claire an update on his life. During the process, Melendez had a little jealousy streak in his eyes when he see how she hugged the patient and was talking and everything. But Melendez, cool as a cucumber, he played it off, but we could see his eyes. You have to watch his eyes. But yes, the patient ended up asking her out, and she ends up telling Melendez in the locker room how he asked her out and she didn't respond and doesn't know what to say. So he was like, well, he was very happy to see him earlier. And she was like, yeah, but I don't know. I don't want to hurt somebody else that care about me or I care about. And it's been a recurring decimal in her life, if you know what I'm talking about. So he was like, well, it's your decision. She says to actually have a cooking date with him where they stay home and cook. I don't know if it was macaroni and cheese or what, but that thing looked horrible and it tastes whack. So I guess they would have been ordering pizza. Oh well, I'm happy that happened because I love Melendez. Then down to the 5-year battle to be the best mom. So they had a patient come in who has said for the last 5 years she's been battling some like vertigo syndromes where she's very off balance. She can do, she's limited the range of things that she can do because obviously she'll fall. She's lack balance and everything like that. She can't play for a child and stuff like that. So she really wanted it to be figured out. She gave Shaun all the research and the tests and results of what she did for the past 5 years. It was actually Shaun and Claire that was on the case. And so that they could be familiar with her case. Now, her husband and daughter end up coming to visit, and through that, they recognized that she first of all lied to her husband, said she was going to assist her, and also that she had a diagnosis according to her husband, which was, sorry if I don't say it right, but it's idiopathic dysautonomia, which she had and several doctors confirmed, but the husband says that she doesn't want to accept it because with that illness, she just will keep deteriorating and she doesn't want actually the fact that she wouldn't be there to be the best mom to her daughter that she wants to be. So, having that information, I think they had already done a surgery on her to help her, but it was a fail and she almost died. And Shaun doesn't give up, we know that. So he kept pushing, like, through thinking it was a tumor or something. When they did this scan, they end up having another diagnosis with her because they recognized it wasn't a tumor, but an adrenaline gland which was actually acting as a tumor. And they gave her a new diagnosis, which wasn't the other thing. No, they gave her the solution where option where she could do a surgery, but then she'll have to use plenty of pills and tests for the rest of her life, which will practically reduce her quality of life. Now, her husband said if she did that surgery, he would take his daughter and they would leave her. So obviously not wanting to lose your family, which is kind of weird. She decided not to do the surgery, though Shaun let him know a thing or two that if he loved her, he wouldn't have, not want her to live her best life. But they tell Shaun he was out of place and he walked away, sad. I guess his life catching up with his patients per usual. Um, but eventually Shaun not giving up per usual before the mother could leave or the family could leave, I would say. He ended up thinking of a different alternative to therapy, which would treatment, not therapy, to reduce the size of the tumor rather than remove it. So you're actually going to pimple pop the tumor. Which Claire helped him to know a thing or two about pimple popping, and he did the surgery and it was successful and she was able to hold her daughter for the first time standing up, which was really sweet with no support. Moving on to A Heart of Gold Needs a Kidney. There was this man who was a prior drug addict and he burnt a lot of bridges in his past. Now, seeing that he was fully recovered and everything and he was safe, he decided that he wanted to be a leader for young boys. So he was on a camping trip with a group of young boys to help them, troubled teens actually, to help them. And he ended up getting pricked by a cactus, but like falling into a cactus or something of that nature, something with a cactus anyways. And he didn't really treat it properly, so he ended up getting sepsis and they brought him to the hospital. Now he went to, obviously he started to, different body functions started to fail. His heart ended up giving way and he had to end up getting a pacer. And then eventually he was going for renal failure and needed a kidney. Now, since he burned so many bridges in his past and he wasn't speaking to his family, the person responsible for transplants ended up contacting two of his family members who agreed to get tested to give him a kidney. I'm not too certain if any was a match. Now, the young boys had ended up coming in his room and read his chat, which is illegal, and they end up getting themselves tested. Now, through getting themselves tested, they recognized one of them was actually a match, but he was 16 years old. Now, he tried to convince them with the story of how important the man was to him and how touching it was to him and everything. And I think the persons that were there was Parker, Nick, Lim, and Andrews, doctors, and the three of them decided they should go ahead with the surgery even though he was 16 and the legal age of consent was 18. Also keeping in mind that he had a background of using drugs and didn't have anybody to take care of him, knowing how hard the surgery is on donors and it being harder on the donors than the receivers. And Dr. Lim decided that it wasn't a 3-1 nothing. It was a matter of looking out for him in a time when he had nobody to look forward for him, especially as he was emancipated. So she decided that she wasn't going to do surgery, and he went to the chapel, and then she went to tell the man that yes, the boy was a match, and he was like, "Oh wow, I can't believe they go behind the back and did that. I want to give him his kidney," but then she also dropped the news that the bombshell that boom, I'm not going to take it because he's young and whatnot and so forth, and he said he understood. So he asked her to grant him a favor. Since he won't be able to get his kidney, could she lie to the boy and tell him that his kidney wasn't a match? Say some shenanigans, make him believe. And she did, and he did believe. And I guess he did that because he knew the only other option would be if the boy killed himself so he could get the kidney that's what, and he would more than likely maybe do something of that nature, seeing how the person in his life has been in the past. And two, he didn't want him to, I guess, to live with the guilt of knowing that he couldn't have saved somebody that had saved his life or had been there for him so many times. So I wanted him to have a clean start. But that didn't deter him from being the man he was, which is the heart of gold. Even in his last times or moments, he decided to have a class for his boys where all of them came around his hospital bed, and he was teaching them about the North Stars, or basically all the constellations really, to help them. So that was really sweet, and Dr. Lim looked on. I'm sad he couldn't get the kidney, but at the same time I was understanding. And last but not least, Shaun tries to win Leah's heart. So we know Shaun has been rejected by Leah already, which is sad. He told her, I think, about, actually he told Glassman about it first. And Glassman was like, he was saying about how he could change and she could, make her, he going to be her boyfriend and everything, like, because she love him. And he was trying to make him understand that, Shaun, you is not the problem right about now. You're a good person. You are solid. It's her that need to change her mind about how she sees you. Not you that have to change your mind. Make her change her mind. You can't do that. But he had headed. Then he asked Dr. Melendez what is it he did for Dr. Lim to fall in love with him after they was friends for so long. And he said, you can't make somebody fall in love with you. And he was like, it's impossible. Then he ended up asking Resnick for advice because he was like, since Leah said she was so selfish, maybe she, being the most selfish person he know, could give him some advice. And she was like, just let it go. But not Shaun. He ended up even calling her to, which is Leah, to his apartment to see that he could change. And he changed all the little things of when they used to live together before. He changed them so that the cans wasn't alphabetized. The toilet tissue was actually facing the wall rather than on the other end, which is ridiculous, people. I'm sorry, I got to say it. And she was like, Shaun, I see what you're doing, but at the end of the day, like, that you calling me here, it's inconsiderate because you could have called me after work. That's all she could say. She didn't see his effort. So it was all for a waste. And he left her in the apartment and decided he was rushing back to work. And later on, he decided to actually meet her outside when she was leaving work and tell her how, he can change and everything. And she was like, so stern with him because he wasn't getting the fact that she doesn't want to be with him. And she was like, we'll never be together because you have autism and that cannot change, and you and you are great and I am me and blah, blah, blah. And it was just sad to see. She's now going home and change back everything to how it used to be. Not the way Leah loved. So yeah, that's that. Thanks for listening, watching, whatever. And though it was a gloomy episode, I hope next episode will be more upbeat. And I'll see you next week.